What shapes a person more, nature or nurture? Dive into the gripping story of Joe Rogan's tumultuous relationship with his father, a tale that's as much about family as it is about resilience. Joe Rogan, a household name today, has built an empire through comedy, commentary, and podcasting, but his journey wasn't without its challenges. Born in August 1967 to Joseph Rogan Sr. and Susan Lemoy, Joe's early life was marked by family conflict that would go on to shape him profoundly. His childhood memories of his biological father remain controversial and emotionally charged, with the story taking twists that mirror a modern family drama played out in the public eye. As a young boy, Joe idolized his father, a common sentiment among children. "At the time, I thought my father was a hero," Joe once shared, reflecting on his early years. This admiration stemmed from his father's imposing presence and larger-than-life persona. However, this perspective would soon change as Joe grew older. At the age of 5, his parents divorced, and Joe moved with his mother to San Francisco, where she remarried. This marked the end of Joe's direct connection with his biological father, a cop in New Jersey. Growing up, Joe began to piece together memories of his father, many of which were unpleasant. In a 2015 Rolling Stone interview, he recalled, "All I remember of my dad are these brief, violent flashes of domestic violence. It was confusing, but nothing that I feel like complaining about." Joe expressed a desire to avoid discussing the topic, evident in the complete absence of references to his father during the first 4 years of the Joe Rogan Experience. However, this silence ended during episode 118 of the podcast, when Joe opened up about his tumultuous childhood. He described his father as crazy and psychotic, recounting disturbing incidents of domestic violence and aggression. Joe shared how his father's actions profoundly affected him, citing one incident where his father pulled him aside after a fight with his cousin. "He asked me if I cried. I said no, and he told me, 'Good, don't ever cry.'" Joe explained that this toxic encouragement of aggression left a lasting impact on him, contributing to a turbulent period in his youth where he often resorted to violence. Joe's father's influence extended beyond his actions, leaving a lasting imprint on Joe's emotional well-being. Joe recalled witnessing acts of aggression during his childhood, sharing, "There's something about seeing someone you're close to, like an adult, beating up a 10 or 11-year-old. Such experiences instilled deep fear and insecurity in him, shaping how he viewed relationships and trust. The volatile environment created by his father's behavior left Joe grappling with emotional scars that lingered into adulthood. He admitted, "It made me realize that you can't count on people," highlighting how these early interactions contributed to a pervasive sense of mistrust. This realization led him to reevaluate his relationships and inspired him to become someone others could depend on. While Joe has used these painful experiences as lessons to build resilience and compassion, the wounds from his father's influence serve as a constant reminder of the impact childhood trauma can have on shaping one's emotional framework. Meanwhile, Joseph Rogan Sr. moved on with his life, eventually raising 2 daughters. Joe's half-sisters only learned about their famous sibling as young adults. They reached out to Joe via email, explaining their desire to reconnect and offering to arrange a meeting with their father. Joe's response was curt, referring to his father as a sperm donor. Disheartened, his sisters chose not to pursue further contact. As Joe's fame grew, his father remained publicly silent, refraining from responding to Joe's claims. However, this changed dramatically in recent years when Joseph Sr. and Joe's half-sisters began posting videos on TikTok, addressing the allegations. In one video, Joseph Sr. vehemently denied Joe's accounts of violence, stating, "Joe, you lied about me, your father. You owe me a big apology." His half-sisters supported their father, describing him as a loving, non-violent man who provided them with a happy childhood. Critics questioned the timing of Joseph Sr.'s videos, noting they emerged as Joe Rogan's fame and fortune skyrocketed. Many speculated that the sudden interest in addressing past allegations was linked to Joe's financial success. One commenter sarcastically remarked, "Now that you're worth $500 million, I want to fix our relationship," encapsulating the skepticism surrounding Joseph Sr.'s motives. Observers found it suspicious that Joseph Sr. had remained silent for decades, but decided to come forward publicly once Joe had become a household name. This fueled speculation that the effort was less about reconciliation and more about gaining attention or financial leverage. The controversy deepened when Joseph Sr. and his daughters embarked on a press tour, reiterating their stance that Joe's stories were fabricated. In one podcast episode, Joseph Sr. described Joe as soft and accused him of being overly dramatic, even making derogatory remarks about his son's masculinity. These statements did little to garner sympathy, with many viewers perceiving them as attempts to provoke Joe rather than reconcile. Throughout this public feud, Joe has remained mostly silent. When fellow comedian Bert Kreischer asked about his father during a podcast, Joe declined to elaborate, demonstrating his unwillingness to give the topic further attention. This approach aligns with Joe's broader philosophy of focusing on the future rather than dwelling on the past. While the allegations and counterclaims may never be fully resolved, one thing is clear: Joe's childhood experiences have profoundly influenced the way he approaches fatherhood. He has spoken openly about his commitment to being a loving and supportive father, ensuring his children never feel the fear or confusion he experienced. "I didn't have a good childhood, so for me, it's important to be a good dad," Joe explained, emphasizing his focus on open communication and building strong relationships with his kids. Joe's story is a testament to the complexities of family dynamics and the enduring impact of childhood experiences. Despite the pain and challenges of his upbringing, Joe has used these lessons to shape his values and build a life defined by resilience and determination. The public nature of his feud with his father highlights broader themes about forgiveness, reconciliation, and the influence of past trauma on present relationships. For Joe, the decision to distance himself from his father seems rooted in self-preservation and a desire to protect the family he has built. Family ties can be the strongest bonds, or the most fragile. What do you think shapes us more, our past or how we choose to rise above it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.